Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about, is it worth driving a Tesla to do these food apps? So, at first glance, it might seem like, oh, Tesla's such an expensive car. Like, why would you do it with that? Like, is it even worth it? Your car note, and you don't waste that much energy though. That's for the first part, the electricity. That's the cheapest part. But still, it's like, oh, you're paying, 40 to 50 to 60 grand for a car that is going to depreciate, and you're not going to be using for too many years, or it's not going to get the value out of it. Well, I don't think that's true actually. So let me tell you why. So let me start with, my car note is 636 a month, which is a lot. Isn't some change, whatever, like 35 cents, something like that. But it's 636. Let's say it for context. 636. So per week, I would say it's about what, 159, around 159. So I'm using 159 per week, right? And then me personally, I'm making around $500 to $700 doing the food apps. It depends how many hours I do. If I do around 20 hours, I'll probably make around 450 to 500. If I'm doing a little bit more, like 30 to 35, then I'll get to like the 700, maybe a little bit more than that. But that's usually the range. So let's say in total, I'm making around, let's just say 500, the lowest part. 5 times 4, that's 2. So I'm making around 2,000 a month, right? That's with just the car note. So I have 14 left over, 1,400. Then I have to put in my insurance, and my insurance per month for that car is 160. So we'll go minus 160. So that's gonna be 1440 left. That 1440, right? That's money in my pocket. And then I have to think about gas, right? Or electricity. I'm sorry, which is not that expensive. So the way I drive pretty. I don't drive the slowest. I don't drive the fastest. I'm not speeding like that, and so it's not that bad. I drive pretty efficiently. Let's put it that way. So me personally, I'm using about $1 a day during the weekdays on electricity. So that equates to, let's say, I work 4 days in the week, so that's $4 a day. I'm sorry, a week during the weekdays, and then on the weekends I use about, if it's a busy day, I'd probably use maybe like $5 for electricity. So that's about $10, right? So I'm spending about, so 10 plus 4, that's $14 for electricity slash gas, however you want to read it. Times 4, that would be 56. So at the end, I'm having more than 1,300 left over. 14, yeah, I'm having a little bit more than 1,400 left over. 1,300, I'm sorry. So I feel like it is a good way, only because I've asked a couple people on the group messages that, I want to know how much they spend on gas and everything. And then also it depends on the market too, because remember, with me personally, I'm in a very expensive market, which is Los Angeles, so everything is overpriced. Gas is overpriced, everything is overpriced. So with me using an electric car, that makes it even a better choice, because gas over here, I think the lowest I seen yesterday was 359. That was the lowest, and that's, I wouldn't say knockoff brands, but like not the well known brands. So when we're going to well known brands, that's going, probably 379, 389 starting price. So when it comes to that, I'm, at least where I live, and I do off peak hours, I'm wasting about 18 cents per kilowatt. And per kilowatt, with me, the way I drive, every 5 miles is 1 kilowatt to me. So that means if I drive 100 miles, that means that's 20, right? 20 times 18 cents, that would be $3.60. That, I don't usually drive 100 miles during the week. I usually drive around maybe 50 to 75, depending on how busy it is, only because I only do dinner during the weekdays, and then on Saturdays I basically work all day, and then Sundays I usually will work most of the day. So that's why it's a little bit more expensive, but that's when I make more money too. And then with my market, at least, like, so in total I've had 8,900 miles in 6 months that I've owned this car. So that's around 1,800. Yeah, around 1,800. What's it called? A month. This is including everything, not just the food apps. This is including like going out, or if I take long road trips, or if I'm going out with my mom and dad, or if we're just just using it for everything else. But I would say that I'm around 7,500 to 7,700. I've used for work, so it's not bad because I wrote it down. I've used 1,767 kilowatts of energy, and times that times 0.18. So that means in my 6 months that I've owned this car, and I have not charged the car only at home because if you get a Tesla and you get a referral code, you get 1,000 free supercharging miles, and I've used about half of them. But let's just say for context that I've charged at home the whole time. So I do 1,767 times 0.18, which is how much it costs here. I'm spending $318 every 6 months, or the 6 months that I have. So you divide that. I'm using around $52 a month, and then that's not really expensive. So 52 plus my 636, so I'm using about 692 in all for doing the gig apps. And I know people will say, "Oh well, I'm only spending, it does say $50 per week on gas. 50 times 4, that's 200, right?" But then you gotta remember, you gotta get oil changes. You gotta get, if anything goes wrong with the car, most of the time, your brakes or your rotors, car battery, or anything like that, it's gonna, bring the cost up. But with an electric car, most of those things are reduced only because the, there's no engine, there's no transmission, so no oil changes, none of the regular maintenance stuff that people kind of take for granted. You don't get those anymore, and I don't have to go get an oil change every 5,000 miles because that's most of the cars are that way. And then that's around $30 to $40 each time, maybe a little bit more depending on where you are. So to me, that makes it worth it because I don't have to stop for anything unless the battery goes out or something, something else goes wrong. But for the most part, the only thing the only thing I gotta worry about is tires, brakes, and wiper fluid, and that's it. Everything else is not there. I don't have an engine. I don't have any oil, like none of that type of stuff. I don't have an alternator. I don't have anything, a compressor, anything like that. So all the small stuff that we take for granted, that's not an expense anymore. It's just electricity, and like I said, tires, brakes, and brakes don't run out that fast on that car because it has regenerative braking, so it brakes by itself, and most of the time that's how I do it, and that's why it's so efficient also. So most of the time, the car isn't as efficient as I drive it, only because I'm driving very efficiently. I get 5 per kilowatt. It's rated for 4.8. So, zero point 0.2 kilowatts, it doesn't sound like a lot, but once you start driving so much, and it just keeps adding up, adding up, and it's a lot of money. Even if it's $100, like, you could have spent that 100 somewhere else, or you could have spent it on yourself or on anything you wanted. So, to me, I feel like it is worth it. It might seem expensive in the front, but, and then this is brand new. I got the car for $40,000, so it's not like, anything cheap. So, but I would say for me personally, it is worth it because first, I don't have to worry about gas, especially in California, like I said. And then it's almost the same thing because in different states, electricity will be cheaper than what it is here. I think the average is 12 cents per kilowatt, like, averaging everything out, and we're at 18. And then gas is definitely way cheaper. I'm pretty sure it's in the mid twos for average price. So that's the thing too. So most of the time it's kind of apples to apples. But in California especially, it is way better for an electric car because of that. And that's why I feel like it is worth it. And then it's not as bad as people make it seem like, oh, you have a depreciating car, you have all this. But that's the reason I got this car. I'm not gonna sell it after a certain amount of years. I'm gonna do it until it runs out. I'm gonna put as much juice on it. I'm gonna use everything on it. And then I do plan on doing certain things during tax time, which I'm not gonna talk about. But you know, you can depreciate your car and you can do stuff like that. You can talk to your tax advisors with that. But I will be doing some things like that to also get some tax credits. So I feel like it is worth it. Plus, I do get a 3,750 tax credit for this year coming up. So that also helps. So that means for the most part I won't be paying taxes. Plus you get a $2,500 rebate too, since you got an electric car, at least for California. And just the gas savings kind of makes it worth it to me, only because I was talking to a couple people from other states, like Ohio and like different places where it is cheaper. He was saying $50. Some people were saying 150. So it just depends how much driving you do too. But for the most part, like I said, I do around 1,800 miles per month, or is it 1,500? I don't remember, but it's somewhere around there. So it's not as much. I'm definitely getting more dollar per mile. That's for sure. And then remember, I don't only just use this car for the gig apps. I also use it for personal entertainment, for going out, for anything really that I need to the grocery store, anything. So, just me personally, I think it is worth it, and I think It was a good investment to me. So, yeah. So if you guys like it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you guys. Until next time.